Welcome into the Cricket Wireless Fantasy Football Faceoff. I'm Stephanie Theobald here with James Adams, and today we're going to focus on getting you ready for the fantasy playoffs, and in particular talking about quarterback strength of schedule. Hopefully these guys will help you get in if you were on the bubble. Let's start with Baltimore's quarterback Joe Flacco, who starts Week 14 in Washington, followed by Denver and then the Giants.
Yeah, Washington's a great matchup for Joe Flacco the first week there. 21.2 points given up to the position. Denver gives up 16.9. The Giants give up 18.5. That's a great matchup for Flacco in your potential Week 16 Super Bowl. Andy Dalton went off against the Giants this past week. Joe Flacco had amazing numbers. He's been a guy in and out of lineups in fantasy depending on the matchups. He's got great ones in Weeks 14 through 16.
Moving on to Colts rookie quarterback Andrew Luck, who will be facing Tennessee, followed by Houston and then Kansas City.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrew Luck is emerging as a must-start fantasy player. And you got to think, just in his rookie year, every week he gets a little bit more seasoned. Tennessee's given up 21.7 to the position. Houston, 15.1. Kansas City, 19.1. And keep in mind, right now, Andrew Luck and the Indianapolis Colts would be in the playoffs. So not only will he be looking to continue his success for his own good, but for the team as well, fighting to get one of those wild card spots.
Tampa Bay's Josh Freeman, another great option. He has matchups with the Eagles, the Saints, followed by the Rams.
Yeah, Philadelphia giving up 15.9. Then in Week 15, a playoff week for all fantasy formats, 23.1 points against the position for New Orleans. And St. Louis in the final week at 17.7. Josh Freeman is emerging as nearly a must-start quarterback the way some guys are dropping, and he's returned to 2 years ago's form. Freeman's been a great play as of late.
And how about Matt Schaub, who has potentially the best matchups in Week 14 through 16?
Yeah, New England's given up 22.4 to the position. Again, Fitzpatrick had a good week against them. Indianapolis, 17.2. And Minnesota giving up 19.9. Matt Schaub, the only thing you have to worry about with him, how early does Houston clinch that division? And, of course, how well does Arian Foster continue to do? The one thing that keeps Schaub from really being an elite quarterback.
This past week, Mike Vick left the game, and later we learned he suffered from a concussion. Backup quarterback Nick Foles took over. You think he'll be around in Week 14 for the great matchups?
You know, there's a whole lot of things that go on to this. I mean, it's a great set of matchups. The third most good matchups against quarterbacks in those defenses, but you don't know if Vick's going to be back healthy. If he is, you don't know if he's going to be playing. We're not sure Andy Reid's still going to be the coach then. So it's good time to go grab Nick Foles if he's not already owned. He could be a sneaky play to get you through some fantasy playoff games, but it's just a question mark right now between injuries, who's going to play and who's going to be the coach.
And some quarterbacks have some very, very tough matchups coming up. Let's start with Christian Ponder. The second-year Vikings quarterback has an extremely tough opponent in Week 14 when they play the Bears.
Yeah, and you know, Christian Ponder, he was emerging as a reliable fantasy player early in the season. That's regressed. I'm really going to stay away from him. There's a couple of guys that have been in and out of lineups that the last couple of weeks of the season you're not going to be able to use. Phil Rivers as well. He's been disappointing. He's got the third worst matchups going into the playoffs. And Andy Dalton, who we just talked about, had a great week this past week. He's got the second toughest matchups from weeks 14 through 16. So those are guys you may have been using from time to time, but guys that we cannot recommend. Maybe guys you throw in a trade if you're trying to get something done in the last second, because they're likely not going to be guys you want to have in your lineup in those fantasy playoffs.
But, James, there are a few more quarterbacks that people should probably be playing. Is that Tom Brady, Matt Stafford, and Ben Roethlisberger? Talk to me about their matchups.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Brady is a guy you have to start. There's no question about it. There's really unlikely you have a better option than Tom Brady. But he plays Houston Week 14, giving up only 15.1 of the position. Then San Fran in Week 16, 12.3, and Jacksonville giving up 17.1 of the position. But like you said, you can't sit Tom Brady. Matt Stafford also has tough matchups. And the thing with Matt Stafford, we thought he'd be an elite quarterback. The yards are there. The scoring really isn't. He's got a Green Bay matchup in Week 14. They give up 16.9 to the position. Arizona only 14.5, and Atlanta 15.9. Again, if you've been rolling with Matt Stafford, there's a chance you may not even be in the playoff hunt. But if you are, he's a guy that you'll probably have to play, but you're going to have to cross your fingers in those weeks. And lastly, you look at Ben Roethlisberger. He emerged as a must-start quarterback in fantasy this year. But the problem, again, tough matchups in those weeks. San Diego giving up just 16.7 to the position. The crucial Week 15, always a playoff matchup in all formats, is Dallas who has a great defense against the quarterback, only 13.3 in the position, and Cincinnati only giving up 17.9 in the position. So those are guys that you feel like you probably have to start, but you're going to have to make sure that you've got good options throughout the lineup to protect against possible letdowns from any of those three.
This has been the Cricket Wireless Fantasy Football Face-Off. I'm Stephanie Theobald along with James Adams. Join us with Dan Claskins on Sunday mornings from 9 to 11:30 for the Cricket Wireless Fantasy Football Game Day on Fox Sports 1360. And as always, you can get fantasy football news anytime if you like Get Sports Info on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at getsportsinfo.